It's been a few years since PFAS chemicals became to the forefront in Wisconsin. Since then, the state is taking attention to it, trying to contain it. What have we learned since then?
Well, Madison Water Utility first detected PFAS chemicals in our wells in 2017 when we took an extra step and did some advanced testing down to really, really low concentration levels. Since then, we've tested all of our wells instead of just the handful we tested back then, and we found low to trace levels of PFAS in more than half of them. Most utilities in Wisconsin are not doing that level of testing, but we're trying to understand what's going on. And so from our perspective, we're seeing PFAS as pervasive. We're seeing these kind of low to trace level concentrations, a mixture of them, in our wells in Madison groundwater. Most of them are not near any known source. So there's been a lot of just trying to figure out what's going on, gathering data, not just in Madison, but in other areas. Marinette, up, where there's a Tyco plant producing firefighting foams, where there have been some detections in groundwater in private wells. So there's been a lot of just trying to figure out where are these chemicals. There are thousands of different types that have been used, that are continuing to be used out there. How do we get a handle on that?
When people hear about PFAS and maybe there's traces in our drinking water, a lot of people become concerned. But what is the reality? Should people not be drinking tap water?
It's really hard to talk to people about finding a chemical contaminant in their water without making them afraid. You know, it's just, it's the way it is, but we have to talk about it. I think in Madison, we're kind of comforted by the fact that we know how much is there, and for the most part, we're talking levels that are really, really low. So people may not want to hear that it's there, but at least we're measuring it and we know. There are a lot of other ways that people can be exposed to PFAS chemicals. I mentioned it, there are a lot of them out there. They're widely used in everything from food packaging, pizza boxes, your nonstick cookware, dental floss, some types of dental floss. It's so many ways that these chemicals are used because they're really great in terms of stain resistant, water resistant, grease resistant. You can find them in compostable food containers, all kinds of places. What we understand is what is in Madison's water. We don't understand what's in all of those other consumer products. So it's still, we're in the very early kind of learning process with these chemicals.
But Madison is taking a forefront, testing these wells when they can, but PFAS isn't regulated.
Right. Well, that's what makes it really hard. As a water utility, we are responsible for testing all of the chemicals under the Safe Drinking Water Act and making sure that they are at levels that are acceptable, that are safe. PFAS is not regulated under the Safe Drinking Water Act. That means some states have taken it upon themselves to go ahead and regulate them. And Wisconsin is looking at doing that for just 2 of those thousands of types of compounds, 2 of the older ones. They're called PFOA and PFOS. Those are the ones that the DNR is looking at regulating. In Madison, we've already tested for those down to extremely low levels. We are under even the DHS recommended groundwater standard for those 2 chemicals. But if the DNR goes ahead and requires water utilities to test in the same way that we have in Madison, you're probably going to hear more about detections of PFAS chemicals in communities all across the state. It doesn't mean that it's alarming, but you should always seek out that context. What are the levels? What is a high level? What is a low level? These are things that are important to understand.
Since it's not regulated, do you think there should be more of a sense of urgency for the DNR to start regulating, or is it still just so new we're trying to get our footwork, I guess, down of how to track these?
Well, it's not just figuring out for those 2 compounds what is the safe level. There are other compounds, PFAS compounds, that are out there, and there haven't been health studies on those. So the regulatory bodies are still kind of playing catch up. The chemical industry is always kind of one step ahead of that. So as PFOA and PFOS get taken off the market, new ones are created and put out there. So I think the DNR is working very hard to kind of play catch up and figure out which of these need to be regulated and at what levels. But that does take time, and it takes in a lot of considerations. So it's a long process.
When your office receives these PFAS test results, what do you do with them? How do you communicate that with the public to not scare people?
It is really hard. We, of course, put them out as soon as we get them, but how do we talk about it in a way that people are going to understand? we're testing for about 36 types of PFAS chemicals. None of them are regulated, just 2 even have a health advisory level for them. So how do we talk about what we're finding? We're talking about measuring chemicals in the 2 to 5 part per trillion range. That is an incredibly small amount. How do we have people understand that? So it is hard. We've had, listening sessions, neighborhood meetings. We've done a lot of talking to the community, put out web articles, but any chance we get to actually talk to people about what's going on, because this is really an important thing to understand. You can be sure that as we keep adding these PFAS chemicals into the environment, they never break down. They will be with us forever. That's why they're called forever chemicals. They only have a few places to go: groundwater, surface water, soil, air. They end up in the environment, in communities. So this is not the end of our conversation with the community about these chemicals.
All right, we'll see what happens on this important topic in the next few years. Amy, thank you for joining me.
Thank you.